Hey, this is Mark Bates. Today we're talking about starving cancer and a metabolic approach to this. Now, so cancer cells consume glucose at 400 times the rate of normal cells. The general rule, right? This metabolic abnormality, not genetic mutation, may be the primary driver of cancer. So, for decades, we've viewed cancer primarily as a disease of damaged DNA. Mutations accumulate, cells grow uncontrollably, and tumors form. But what if this understanding is incomplete? A growing body of research suggests cancer might be primarily a metabolic disease. This perspective changes everything about prevention and treatment. Quick note, this is not a video that's going to help you diagnose cancer, and if you have cancer, obviously keep working with your doctors on treatment. This just gives you some options to talk with them. If you want to avoid cancer, this might be helpful. Okay? So, how did we come up with this idea that cancer is a metabolic issue? In 1930, German physiologist Otto Warburg won the Nobel Prize for discovering that cancer cells process energy differently than healthy cells. The Warburg effect, as it's now known, describes how cancer cells consume massive amounts of glucose and ferment it into energy when oxygen is present. Normal cells only ferment glucose when oxygen is scarce. Cancer cells do it all the time. This inefficient energy production creates a voracious appetite for glucose. Cancer cells need sugar and lots of it. Okay? Think about that in your diet. Thomas Seyfried, a professor at Boston College and leading researcher in cancer and metabolism, has expanded on Warburg's work. His research demonstrates that damaged mitochondria, not DNA mutations, may be the primary issue in cancer development. Mitochondria are our cellular power plants. When they malfunction, cells must find alternative energy sources to survive. The implications are profound. If cancer is fundamentally a metabolic disease, dietary interventions that alter metabolism could play a crucial role in prevention and treatment. Okay, so let's talk, what is the mitochondrial connection? Both cancer and autoimmune conditions share a common thread: mitochondrial dysfunction. The ketogenic diet works against cancer by helping mitochondria function better. It improves respiration, cellular respiration, that's turning fat and or glucose into energy, increases the number of mitochondria in each cell, right? And enhances their efficiency. When mitochondria work properly, cells behave normally. When they don't, cellular chaos ensues. This explains why Seyfried's research shows that when you put damaged mitochondria from a cancer cell into a healthy cell with normal DNA, it behaves like cancer. The mitochondria, not the genes, determine the cell's fate. So what about carnivore and the ketogenic diets and targeting cancer metabolism? Well, ketogenic and carnivore diets dramatically reduce carbohydrate intake, forcing the body to burn fat for fuel instead of glucose. This metabolic state, called ketosis, produces ketone bodies as an alternative energy source. Now here's where it gets very interesting. Healthy cells can efficiently use ketones for energy. Cancer cells cannot. By restricting glucose and providing an alternative fuel that only healthy cells can use, these diets may create an environment where cancer cells struggle to survive. The evidence is compelling. A 2023 Japanese study found that cancer patients who maintained a ketogenic diet for 12 months or longer had an overall survival of 55.1 months. Those who followed it for less than a year survived only 12 months on average. This nearly five-fold difference in survival cannot be ignored. Beyond cancer, right? Is there a broader healing potential? Yes. The carnivore diet's benefits extend beyond cancer. Autoimmune conditions, which affect millions worldwide, may also respond to this approach. According to a 2021 Harvard study with 2,029 participants on the carnivore diet, 89% reported either improvement or complete resolution of their autoimmune conditions after at least 6 months. Why might this work? Plants contain thousands of naturally occurring chemicals that act as pesticides to protect themselves from being eaten. These compounds, which make up 99.9% of all pesticides consumed in a regular diet. For some individuals, these plant compounds trigger inflammatory responses that manifest as autoimmune conditions. Removing this trigger allows the body to heal. But wait a minute. We all know red meat causes cancer, right? Okay, let's challenge that. The idea that red meat causes cancer has been deeply ingrained in nutritional dogma, right? Yet the evidence supporting this claim is surprisingly weak. Most anti-meat studies are epidemiological, showing correlation rather than causation. What that means is that they gave questionnaires to people. What did you eat last week? What did you eat yesterday? What did you eat last month? And they're relying on your memory on exactly what you ate to see what that is. And then they said, oh, all these people ate meat and they had cancer. So there's a correlation between eating meat and cancer. Okay? The problem is these studies often failed to distinguish between processed meats, right? And with additives and other stuff in them, and just eating plain animal proteins, right, that were fresh and cooked. More importantly, they rarely account for the carbohydrates typically consumed alongside meat in the Western diet. So they considered you to be a meat eater if you had steak, potatoes, broccoli, salad, and they did not include any carnivores in their studies for the most part. Okay, a hamburger with fries and soda creates a very different meal and a metabolic response than a grass-fed steak alone. Lumping these together in research creates misleading evidence, but it's also basically just bad science. Okay? Practical implementation of a carnivore diet. So let's talk about first prioritizing animal food. There are a couple things you need to do. Focus on nutrient density, and that's getting which food has per, let's say, 100 grams of the food, which has the most nutrients in it. And you'll find that animal products, and primarily, and you hear me say this a lot, ruminant meat, that's beef and lamb, for example, and bison, they provide the highest nutrient density per 100 grams, without a doubt. You can look that up. Fatty cuts of meat provide essential nutrients in the most bioavailable forms. Second, so first, focus on eating animal meat, primarily beef and lamb and bison. Second, prioritize quality when possible. It can be expensive, I know that, but try to get as much grass-fed beef as you can. Okay, and most of your lamb is grass-fed, so lamb's always very good. Okay, try that. But that's second. Meat first. If you get the higher quality of the meat, better. Okay. Third, listen to your hunger signals. This is very important. Once you get fat adapted, once you get adapted to eating meat, listen to your body. Right? I'm not telling you to eat this amount of meat every day and eat this much in every meal or whatever. No. If you're hungry, eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. It's that simple. Okay? Biggest thing. Fourth, expect an adaptation period. Your body needs time to learn how to do this. If you've been eating for 40 years, let's say, a standard American diet, lots of carbs, lots of veggies in it, you're not going to switch to a carnivore diet overnight, and with your body being very happy about it. Give yourself some time. I normally recommend a 4-week period to reduce the amount of carbs and veggies that you're eating until you get to the point that you're eating nothing but carnivore or principally carnivore. The occasional little piece of vegetable every now and then is not going to kill you, right? Give yourself time for that. Your gut microbiome needs time to change. Your body needs to adjust to this. You need to start becoming fat adapted. Okay? I got a whole section on your first 4 weeks on carnivore. Go look at that video if you want. Okay? So that's very important. Okay. Beyond diet, eating a ketogenic carnivore type diet has significant health benefits besides just what potentially it can do for cancer. It actively helps stress management. It helps your sleep quality, which helps your stress management. It helps removing environmental toxins. Not only toxins that are trapped in your body fat that will get flushed out, but also a lot of these toxins come from the plant foods that you're eating. And most people tend to have the ability to add more physical activity to their day, which is good. Movement is good. Okay? So if you are on a cancer treatment, understand, talk to your doctor about limiting your carbohydrates, right? Because restricting glucose and providing alternative fuel for healthy cells may enhance your treatment efficacy. Okay? The future of metabolic cancer. There's a lot of research going into this, right? Here's the Japanese study we talked about, Harvard, ongoing research, and emerging research. Seyfried's work combining ketogenic diets with the glutamine targeting drugs show promising results in late-stage tumor growth, especially in brain cancer models, which are one of the hardest ones to fight. I'm not saying that if you have cancer, just stop taking the drugs and stop going to your doctor. Once again, continue working with the doctor, but bring up the idea of eating a ketogenic diet. And if they need information, you can look it up or leave me a message and I can get you references. As our understanding of cancer metabolism deepens, right? Dietary interventions will likely play an increasingly important role in standard cancer care. But remember, that's if you have cancer. If you don't have it, eating this way can help potentially not to get cancer in the first place. Okay? The carnivore diet represents a return to our species evolutionary or species appropriate dietary pattern. For millions of years, humans thrived as apex predators, right? At least through the Paleolithic period, at minimum, right? Consuming primarily animal foods. Our biochemistry reflects this history. We are built and designed to process meat efficiently and extract its abundant nutrients. Perhaps the rising cancer rates of the past century correlate with our deviation from this ancestral pattern. As we've increased our consumption of refined carbohydrates, vegetable oils, and processed food, cancer has become more prevalent, even an epidemic in some cases. So make informed choices, okay? The evidence supporting metabolic approaches to cancer continues to grow. While more research is needed, the existing data suggests powerful potential for everyone. For those facing cancer or autoimmune conditions, understanding the metabolic perspective offers new options to consider alongside conventional treatments. The carnivore diet isn't just about eliminating plants. It's about providing the body with the specific nutrients it needs while avoiding compounds that may disrupt cellular function. This approach aligns with our evolutionary and our design of our biology and addresses the fundamental metabolic abnormalities that underlie many modern diseases. As we continue to unravel the complex relationship between our diet and disease, one thing becomes increasingly clear. What we eat profoundly influences how our cells function. And when it comes to cancer, starving it of its preferred fuel may be one of the most powerful strategies. If you have questions, leave me a message and I'll get back to you. Thank you very much.